The life of the American cult leader, Charles Manson. Charles Manson was an American criminal who spearheaded a murderous campaign with his followers, the Manson Family cult, that would make him one of the most infamous figures in criminal history. Notorious for his connection to the brutal slayings of pregnant actress Sharon Tate and other Hollywood residents, Manson received the death penalty in 1971, a sentence that was commuted to life in prison the following year. Manson was born Charles Milles Maddox on November 12, 1934, in Cincinnati, Ohio, to Kathleen Maddox, a 16-year-old girl who was both an alcoholic and a prostitute. Kathleen later married William Manson, but the marriage ended quickly and Charles was placed in a boys' school at age 12. Rejected in his attempts to return to his mother, Charles was soon living on the streets and getting by through petty crime. Over the next 20 years, Manson spent time in and out of reform schools and prisons for various crimes. He was released from prison on March 21, 1967, and moved to San Francisco. In 1955, between prison sentences, Manson married Rosalie Jean Willis, a 17-year-old hospital waitress. The couple moved to California and had a son, Charles Manson Jr., who committed suicide in the 1990s. By 1956, Willis had left with their child to be with her new lover, and she later divorced Manson. In 1959, Manson married a prostitute, Leona Ray Candy Stevens, with whom he had a second son, Charles Luther Manson. Stevens divorced Manson in 1963. The family was a group of around 100 followers of Manson who shared his passion for an unconventional lifestyle and habitual use of hallucinogenic drugs, such as LSD and magic mushrooms. The Manson family eventually moved from San Francisco to a deserted ranch in the San Fernando Valley. Manson had a strong belief and interest in the notion of Armageddon from the Book of Revelations, and also explored the teachings of Scientology and more obscure cult churches, such as the Church of the Final Judgment. In many ways, Manson reflected personality traits and obsessions that were associated with gurus of cult quasi-religious groups that began to emerge in the 1960s. He was pathologically deluded into believing that he was the harbinger of doom regarding the planet's future. The Manson family, including Manson and his young, loyal disciples, is thought to have carried out some 35 killings. Most of their cases were never tried, in part for lack of evidence. The perpetrators had also already been sentenced to life for the killings on August 9, 1969, Tate, coffee bean heiress Abigail Folger and celebrity hairstylist Jay Sebring. And 2 more victims on August 10, 1969, wealthy supermarket executive Leno LaBianca and his wife, Rosemary. In August 1969, Manson gathered a group of his most loyal family followers to carry out his massacre among Hollywood's elite and beautiful people. The first of Manson's victims was murdered at the home Polanski had rented, located at 10050 Cielo Drive in Benedict Canyon, an area just north of Beverly Hills. Polanski was away in London shooting a film, and the 4 victims had just returned home from dinner at the time of the murder. While Manson himself took no part in the actual killings, he directed 4 of his most obedient followers, Charles Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Kreenwinkle, and Linda Kasabian, to the address and directed them to kill everyone. According to one of the family members' statements, the Polanski household had been targeted because it represented the showbiz world that had rejected Manson. In a 2013 interview with Rolling Stone magazine, Afton Burton, who called herself Star, claimed that she and Manson were in a relationship, telling the reporter, "I'll tell you straight up, Charlie and I are going to get married. When that will be, we don't know. But I take it very seriously. Charlie is my husband. Charlie told me to tell you this. At the age of 19, Star had moved from Illinois to Corcoran, California, to be near the prison where Manson was incarcerated, and she also ran multiple websites aimed at securing his release. In November 2014, the 26-year-old Star and 80-year-old Manson obtained a marriage license. However, their marriage license expired in 2015, and allegations were made in February of that year by writer Danielle Simone that Starr primarily intended to marry Manson so she could publicly display his corpse for profit after his death. Manson's wife Starr later told Inside Edition the nuptials were still on, while her mother disputed Simone's claims in a Rolling Stone story. Their marriage never did come to pass before Manson's death. Manson died on November 19, 2017, of natural causes. He had been in prison for more than 40 years for his crimes. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming videos.